Peace, coming at you guys with another video. This time this video is how to put together a personal budget and save your money. Now this is going to be a two-part series right here. This first part is about budgeting and for your personal life, and we're going to touch into, if you want to get into the investing aspect, we're going to touch into that. The second part is going to get more in depth into putting together a budget for your ideal life, the dream life that you want to live. All right. Now, first question is, what is a budget? Now, a budget is a creative plan. It's a sound creative plan that is made for you to achieve a specific financial goal. Now, in order for you, before I even go any further, when you budget, it does not mean that this is going to be simple, right? Budgeting takes dedication and sacrifice in order for you to achieve the goal. But let's get into budgeting more. Now, when you're budgeting and you have these specific goals in mind that you're budgeting for, what you have to understand is where you want to go and look at where you are right now financially. So it does take time. This is not an overnight thing. It can be a budget that'll put you in a position where you want to be in 6 months or a year from now, or in 3 months, or in 2 weeks. It just depends on your particular position. So now, when you're looking at your budgeting, it takes sacrifice and dedication, as I stated before. Sometimes you may have to, phase out some of these after work drinks, or cut down. You may have to cut down on, if you go shopping, cut down on some of the shopping, or totally phase it out, or going to the strip club, or smoking weed, or playing numbers, whatever it may be. It could be you're a car enthusiast, or whatever it may be. You may have to sell your car to execute the plan that you want, that your budget is, structured for. So you got to be able to sit here and stay focused on a budget, right? What I did was, I took a whole year. You don't have to take a year, but for a whole year, I sat there and I collected receipts for every purchase I made. And then at the end of the year, I was able to look and see what I spent the most money on and be able to gauge my spending habits. You can do that. You can take a month to do it. I just opt to do it for a year. That was for me. Now, for budgeting, you have your income, expenses, and your savings. This part is where we're going to touch into something different going into the second part of the series. Now, when we're talking about your income in a budget, we're talking about your job, whatever your salary, whatever it is. If you have money coming in from investments as well, or side hustle, if you're just plain out there hustling, or it can be all of these. It can be one or all above. But whatever it is, what your monthly income is, we have to check the monthly income versus your expenses. Now, I wrote down an example. These are some of your expenses, monthly expenses. So we have your rent, mortgage, your car note, credit cards, student loans, groceries, if you have a 401k, your 401k, etc. Now, we have your savings. Now, when you have your savings, typically what I suggest for people to do is to save what we call FU money. Now, FU money typically is 3 to 6 months of your total bills in savings. Sometimes 3 to 6 months. Some people are a little more conservative, so they like to stack aside 8 months. Now, this may take you 2 years to stack that up, and that's fine, as long as you execute your goal. Now, given within the time frame that you structure yourself in. Now, some of the goals you may set in this budget may require you to do some of these things. I'm not necessarily hustling, but side hustle, or make an investment into something in order for you to achieve some of the goals that you want, depending on what your budget is for. It can be that next year you want to travel for 6 months out the year, or whatever, whatever the case may be. So now, when you're structuring your budget, right, you have to look at what you're bringing in, what you're grossing every month, what you're netting after taxes, I should say. And when you're netting after taxes, if you're looking to position yourself to make an investment through your budget, then there's something called creating income through expenses, right? And that's what this is right here. What you would do is you would take 10% of whatever the gross income, whatever you got for the month, let's say your gross income, your net income for the month, and you would subtract 10% of that off top before you deal with any of these expenses. You may have to cut down some of the expenses. You may have to, like I said earlier, you may have to sell your car. You may have to change phone plans. Or you could negotiate with your insurer for your car and try to get a cheaper price. Low interest on your credit cards. There's different tactics that you have to employ in order to, free up cash for you to move this money around in your budget to where you want it to be at, so it can benefit you and help you execute your goal. So now, what you would do is the 10%, what you would do, you would minus the 10% off your net. As you minus it in your budget, you would minus it as an expense, but set it aside in an account, which this would be for investing. If it's $1,000 investment or whatever it may be, that the money will pile up over time till it gets to the point, to the dollar amount that you have in mind in order to start investing. So this is, like I said, it's called creating income through expenses. So on your books, it will be marked off as an expense. But it's actually an expense that you're using to create income for yourself. That's why I indicated it over here in an investment situation. Now, the purpose of the savings, besides having 3 to 6 month savings, this is also in case you're at your job. You may be at a job where you have to compromise some integrity, which I would never suggest anyone compromise their integrity. But, if you're in a situation where the job might have been a good situation and then you have a new manager or supervisor or whatever, or, the company gets acquired or whatever the case may be, and situations change, you may have an asshole there that is causing problems with you. Or they may be dead wrong, but, you end up you have to make the choice whether you're going to stand up and say something and may lose your job, or you're going to stand up and, because you got this FU money, you tell them F you, because you're in a position. So you always have to anticipate these things. You can't sit here and live your financial life. Well, you shouldn't live your life, period, on a whim. You should be, have things planned out, because things happen. So that's the purpose of this. So you won't be caught blindsided if you have to quit, or if your company folds, or they downsize, or whatever the case may be. You have a nice nest egg for you, your FU money, for you to sit here and keep you afloat till you get to the other position. Plus, if you've been setting that 10% aside, depending on the point in time, you may have this nest egg and have created some investment capital for you to use. Now, when you're writing down, when you're doing your budget, make sure you put every single expense you have. It's very important, because the numbers have to be right and exact. You have to see exactly what's going on in your financial spending habits. You have to understand how much you spend where. And when you see the numbers, you'll understand where to cut back what and what you have to sacrifice in order to get to your goal. Now, the only way the budget is going to work, like I said, is if you stay down and you stay disciplined on the budget. For me, I pick up pennies on the floor as well. I suggest you do the same. I pick up pennies, put them in a bottle, end of the year, cash the pennies, and everything counts when I want to get to my goal. Everything counts. So I sit there and you create new financial habits. Because one of the things that's in the budget, see, a lot of people have no problem trimming a lot of expenses, but when it comes down to personal things, that's when you mess up. It's like, oh, I'm just going to have, 2 drinks, so I'm just going to go out, one time, or it's only $5, it's only $10. These things start to add up, and they add up because it becomes a habitual thing that you're doing. So before you know it, these after work drinks here and there turn into something that's consistent, every Friday thing, or whatever the case may be, and that's costly. So if you don't mind it, if this part of your budget, you want to factor that into your budget, and you have the finance to do so, by all means, then that's your goal. But if you're looking to sit here and position yourself where you're not in that position, you're not living check to check or stressed, hand to mouth, then you have to apply and approach the situation in a more strategic manner and a more disciplined manner. So this is, like I said, when you structuring your budget, try for a whole month. Get receipts for everything you sell, whether you use a debit card or cash. If you're in a position where you feel you're gonna be, you're gonna forget if you use the cash, then use the debit card. Use your cards and collect the receipts, and then at the end of the month, go over everything. This way, you have a picture as to how your financial, spending habits, are, and that way you can actually set your budget as to what you want to do. All right. So now that's it for now. This is the first part of putting together a budget. The second part is going to be about budgeting to position, or how to put together a budget to for the life that you want to live. So that's it for now. You guys go over it, go over your budget, go over your spending habits. Think of strategic ways to cut down some of these expenses. You may have to cut out cable, like I said. You may negotiate your interest rates on your credit cards, your insurance on your car, or if you have to get rid of your car or downsize your car, whatever. It's getting hot out here. You can get a bike, get some exercise. All right. Well, stick in whatever you do. Stick to the script. All right. Now you can follow us once again at YouTube at Mr. Flip These Bricks, and subscribe to the page and share this information. It's given to you free, so you do the same. Share the wealth. Also, you can follow us on Instagram at Mr. Flip These Bricks. Next series, next lesson is coming up. Don't forget to get your pen and papers, and let's make the next move the best move. Peace.